Welcome to another session of personal finance training. Today we'll be looking at, is 100,000 a good salary? So, is 100,000 a good salary? And maybe you can also leave your comments below. Okay, so our aim is to get a better understanding of 100,000 salary and personal finance. And it is important to note we're going to look at this in terms of the United States, using their system. So if you are from other places in the world, you might need to make appropriate adjustments in terms of your calculations, because the net figures might be slightly different. So we're going to look at, these are some of the objectives. We're going to look at financial of 100,000. So going to do some breakdowns of it, how to manage 100,000, how to invest 100,000, and then we're going to conclude. So let's look at this. Now 100,000 per annum, we're going to look at the breakdown per annum as well. So if you are in the state of Alabama, your yearly taxes would be $15,103.50. And in terms of your Alabama tax, it would be $4,004.83, and Social Security tax would be $6,200. Medicare due would be $1,450. So after all of that, you will have a net of $73,241.68. So $73,241.68 would be the net per annum. Now per month, we will break that up by dividing it by 12, and that's 6,103 per month. So that's 6,103 per month. Now how would we spend this? Let's say this is John, and with 6,103, let's say rent is 2,000. He has a car, good nice car. Car and insurance is about 700. Food maybe 650. Savings of 800. Pension of 700. Loan of 600. Investment of 500. Miscellaneous of 153. And there goes 6,103. Now let's have a look at a pie chart of this information. We know by default that rent is the highest, so it is 2,000. So 2,000 works out to be 33%. So 33% of his pay goes to rent. So housing is a huge cost. The second highest would be savings, which is a positive. So rent is, a cost that we'll never recoup. Just have a temporary accommodation in that regard, just for the period in question on the lease. But in terms of savings, that you will get a return, so that's a positive. The other highest would be the car and pension, so that those are the other two. So in terms of you would have it around the 11% mark. The savings would be about 13%. Then we have food being 650, and then we have investments, and then miscellaneous about 3%. So I would say a reasonable breakdown. If we were to consider savings, I would say this is I think John is just a solo person. So if he wishes to save, he might want to share an apartment instead of actually living by himself, and maybe he could cut his rent down to maybe 1,000, 1,500, and therefore he could maybe increase his investments to maybe 1,000, pension to maybe 1,000, and savings to maybe 900, accordingly based on the savings he makes. Or he can also trade in a car and have something cheaper, and also increase investment. So I think with this situation, you want to increase your investments as much as possible. Loans, you want to also clear that. You want to make sure you pay off any loans so that that gives you a good position. Now, in terms of the investment side of things, let's look at how much his investment works out to be per annum. So if he invests or saves 800, that works out to be 9,600 per annum. His pension, which is 700, works out to be 8,400 per annum. His investment, which works out to be 500, is 6,000 per annum. Altogether, that's 2,000 per month, but 24,000 per annum, which is a good sum, a significant sum. That's a quarter of 100,000. And let's say he gets an average return of 3%. That would work out to be 720, which gives us a total of 24,720, which is almost 25,000. I would say a reasonable return if he can find other safe investments to increase his return to maybe an average of 4 or 5. That also will add to his portfolio. Now, if you wanted to look at future values in relation to this scenario for the next 30 years, I have a training called Personal Finance Training, and I will leave it in the link below. You can have a look at this, and you can subscribe, or rather purchase this training, so that we can discuss other future value prospects in light of this scenario or other scenarios in terms of improving your personal finance trading. What can we conclude? 100,000, though it's on paper a large amount, it only works out to be about 6,000 per month. How to manage it? You want to ensure that you maximize, your minimize your costs and maximize your investments. So your investments, you want to ensure you increase it as much as possible, because 100,000 salary, not a lot of jobs are available at that salary range, and therefore if you lose that job, it's more likely will be a bit of a challenge to get another one. So you have to make wise investments while you have that salary. In terms of investments, we see that he has made some wise investments. He's invested in pension. He has an investments, which is maybe a financial instrument like government papers or bonds that gives a nice yield or a fixed yield, and he also has savings. I think he might, if he decides, he can actually make some other investments like buying stocks or shares, but there's risk involved, and there might be a down. The return might go up and down accordingly. But providing he has a good financial advisor, he should be able to excel in that area and make a good return. So in conclusion, though 100,000 seems a lot, it's not significant, and if managed well, you can have a healthy life when you retire. Thank you. Like, share, subscribe.